it's me, Erin. Thanks for joining us on the More Love podcast. Do not tell Rebecca, but this podcast is about empathy. She likes people to think she's dead inside, but the truth is she's a big-time feeler who has truly helped me uncover that empathy is my superpower. Oh, here she comes.
Hey, bestie.
Hi, love.
What are you doing?
Oh, just getting ready to host a podcast.
A podcast? About what?
Life. Our life as best friends who are more like sisters.
Ah, yay! I love us, and I can't wait to share our stories with the world.
Especially the ones that involve us pushing each other, right? To be our most authentic selves.
Oh, man. Okay.
Look what I got here.
Is that a panty liner? A pad?
It's a maxi-pad.
A maxi-pad? Do I need it?
Maxi-pad. I'm about to tell you a story about this maxi-pad.
Okay.
Scott, you're going to need to hang on for this one. Okay? I'm going to warn you in advance. This is going to get a little awkward for you. And
I doubt it.
It's fine.
Is this a reference to what I showed you the other day on the camera?
What?
My office chair?
Oh, boy.
No, but it should be.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give this to you at the end and then just tape it in the middle of your office chair.
Tape it to my chair.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I want to tell people about your office chair. It's really good. It's really good. It was really good.
I had a little leakage.
We had a little incident.
Had a little
lifts
leakage.
the chair up. We're on the Zoom, and she lifts the chair up. It says, "You see this?" I'm like, "What the heck is that?" I'm like, "Did you shit your pants?"
Nope.
She's like, "No." I said, "You got your period?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "When?" You're like, "Yesterday." I'm like, well, why is it still on the chair? And you're like, I just put a blanket on it and kept going.
I got busy. I'm so busy. I can't clean my chair or schedule the podcast guests.
Yeah, right.
So I just needed to prove to you, busy.
Right. Yeah. As if I wasn't clear enough, like 3 episodes ago, where I was basically like, Jesus, take the wheel on this podcast. She's still got period blood on her
I did
chair.
clean it off.
Oh, good.
It's cleaned up.
Excellent.
I did.
Well, this is a story for you about this panty liner and how I went to Buffalo this weekend with Renee, and I realized something that I've never realized before. Actually, 2 things happened that I want to tell you about. So first is we went out to dinner with her friend Nikki, who I had never met before, and I was a little nervous because I was like, "You guys just have a great time at dinner. It's fine. I'll be in the hotel. I'm gonna watch some murder shows. It's completely fine." She's like, "No, I swear, Nikki's the best person. She's gonna love. We're gonna talk about mom stuff. It's totally fine." So somehow she convinced me that I should go to this, and Nikki ended up being wonderful. She was so fun. You would absolutely love her.
Why would Renee be friends with someone who's not
True?
great?
True. That's a good point.
I mean,
that's a good point, right?
Come hang out with my loser friend. No, what?
That's true. And you would have loved her. Like, she was an absolute blast. So we went to this Mexican restaurant. She's so sweet. And as we're talking, she has 3 children, and the oldest is on the spectrum. And we're talking, and I can't remember exactly what came up, but I said, "Yeah, Renee, that's not the correct way to do that. You should do it like this, and this is why." And I said to Nikki, "That's why I have to tell Renee all the time the things that she needs to do different." And Nikki so kindly says, "Well, I've always just accepted Renee for who she is." And I said, "Not me."
Oh.
And then we all start cracking up. And she goes, "Well, that's because you're on the spectrum." To me.
Well, I've told you that for how long? I've told you that for a while now. In fact, I send you all these things. I'm like, "Do you see? This is you."
I know. And I wish you saw my face in this moment. I'm like, whoop, and I said, "Thanks for coming, Renee. This is now Nikki and I are having a whole conversation right now." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I just picked her brain the entire time.
Yeah.
And she was talking about I had known this woman for probably like 15, 20 minutes, right?
What'd she say?
She's like has a lot of experience in this realm. And like I said, her son is on the spectrum, and she does a lot of work in nonprofits and all of this stuff. And she's like, "You definitely have some of the neurodivergent qualities." And I'm like what? Like, this is so fascinating to me. I absolutely love this.
Everything needs to be in order.
Yes.
Routine driven.
Yes. Black and white
organized.
thinking.
Want me to keep going?
Have to walk around the store a certain way. okay. And then like I did one of those awkward disclosures where I was like, have you ever had one of those times where you're standing in the shower and like you turn a certain way to grab your shampoo bottle and then you turn back around and you realize I turned the wrong way. I need to turn the other way.
No one thinks things like that.
How are you just now coming to the realization that you're on the spectrum?
Wow, Scott, Alex, you are too. What do you mean you turned the wrong way?
I turned the wrong way. It feels incorrect. It feels like I've turned the wrong way.
Like some
and so
OCD
Oh, yeah.
things going on.
you guys.
Oh, yeah.
What?
We just accept
it's
you.
Normal. So it's
No, it's not normal.
It's normal to her.
Yeah, but to me, it's not.
But see, here's the thing. Just because it's not normal to us doesn't mean it's not normal.
Well, right.
True. Yeah,
I mean,
fair. Yeah, true. But I always just thought this was me. I just thought this was how people were.
I can identify 100% with what you're talking about because I have those same like sort of instincts, but I'm able to overcome them and not have them rule me. But my son can't. My son has to do things a certain way. He's on the spectrum.
Oh, he
is
has some
unable to overrule those impulses.
He has some tinge of OCD as well. Like
he has to do.
Okay, interesting. So I was talking about this turnaround, right? And Nikki and Renee are like, well, no, I've never heard of that before, and I'm like, it was one of those moments where I'm like, oh, okay, that was a self-disclosure that maybe, and then Nikki had been talking about inside voice versus outside voice and how with her son, they have to really practice, like, that's an inside voice. We're not going to say those types of things out loud, right? And I was like,
oh, you mean in your head voice?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant yelling versus being quiet.
No, like we
like
think
internal.
That. We think that.
Okay.
We don't say it out loud, right? And I'm like,
that's an internal
maybe the
thought.
turning around in the shower is an internal voice.
Oh, that's funny.
My God. So that's the first thing that happened is I got even further confirmation about the fact that I might be neurodivergent, which I'm telling you, I'm 42 years old and this is the first time this is ever coming up because as Scott said, I've been highly successful in my life and in my career with my neurodivergent tendencies. Right. Because I'm the person who will tell you, this is how you handle this situation. Do you want to write a text message? This is how you write the text message. It doesn't occur to me that there are potentially other ways. I'm just very clear that that's how you do it and it's successful. And I've met with a lot of success with those things.
But there's nothing wrong with being neurodivergent.
No, I know. It's just a final confirmation.
It's just the way your brain processes things. Like,
yes.
Funny to me, but you think I'm nuts.
Because when it has not been until recently that you will bring up, okay, black and white, or okay, yeah, I guess we couldn't do it. And that is what brings me to the maxi-pad. Okay.
Here we go.
These are connected. So, folks at home, I'm holding up a maxi-pad right now. It's a very colorful one. It's very, very nice. This is what happened. So that had happened the day before.
Okay.
That was on Friday. I find out, this woman rocks my socks off with this. Then we get to the end of the day on Saturday and we decide to go to Duff's for some chicken wings before I head home. And I have to pee, right? So I make sure I got my maxi-pad with me, make sure I got, whatever, because I'm on like close to my last day of my period. So I go in to the bathroom and I brought this. Renee recommended I bring this to show everyone like as a
demo?
As a demo. Renee recommended I do the demo. Okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
Opening up the maxi-pad.
Here we go. Here we go. She's gonna have this aha moment of something everybody knew.
I know.
Go ahead.
And I said you're the worst person to talk to about this because you didn't know how to put a tampon in until last year.
That's true.
So it's actually okay to talk to you about this because you can't fire back at me because I had to teach you how to put a tampon in. So again, this is blending of the neurodivergence with having a period. So why are you staring at this?
Because I am dying. Intently. I am dying to know. Okay. Are you going to demonstrate it with your coffee? Like what?
Oh, no,
I'm very curious.
No. Okay. So I go in, I go to the bathroom, I take off my maxi-pad. And as I take off my maxi-pad, I notice myself frustrated yet again, because the blood is at the top, of the very top part of the maxi-pad. And I always have thought to myself, what the hell?
You mean because you put it too far in your panties?
No, I always think it's up high enough. it goes up like.
No, wait. I need to. The reason I'm asking a clarifying question, it's not because your pad was overflowing.
No,
it's because of the positioning.
No, the rest of the pad's completely clear. Okay, it's like nothing happened there.
It's the positioning of the maxi pad.
It's the positioning. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. It's the positioning, and why that's upsetting to me is that I have convinced myself, because this happens all the time, that my anatomy is just different than everyone else's. That's the conclusion I go to.
It's
right?
not your placement of the...
No.
Okay, but that's why I couldn't use a tampon.
Right.
Because I was like, it must be me.
Right. I'm aware. That's why I'm talking to you about this. Right? I'm like, it is me. My anatomy is off. My hole's in a different place than everyone else's. And I'm so confused about why. Because I'm like, this just doesn't work for me the way that it works for everyone else, right?
And now you're real mad because you need the extra long.
Well, now these are, look how long these are.
I know.
What? How much?
They make longer ones.
6 inches?
They make longer ones.
I don't need the one that goes from the back of your butt crack up to your belly button. I
think you do.
That.
I think you do if you're not willing to reposition.
The rest of the pad is fine.
Aren't those Depends that you're talking about?
No, they have extra long.
I don't understand what the problem is. So I'm sitting on the toilet. People. There's just the stuff at the top. I'm again frustrated thinking, how does this work for everyone else? I don't understand. So
again, making an assumption that it works for everyone else.
Yeah. So this is the angle that I have it at. Okay. Is this correct?
What do you mean?
Is this the way you're supposed to have the pad?
I can't see that far away.
This, I'll let you hold it. The little part here is at the top. And then the little...
So my assumption would be, yes, I would. This is how I put it on because this is the way the writing is.
Oh.
It says 0. So I would be like, well, I'm going to put it in so I can read it.
Okay. Now, that actually makes me feel a little bit better because that's the way I've been wearing it.
But I push it because I experience the same thing you do. I put it up, so it's almost like a shield on my clit.
You got a weird...
It's like a clit shield.
You got a weird badge placement too?
Yeah, it's like a clit shield. So put it right here on your clit.
Okay.
It's right there.
Too sensitive.
Even more love. Okay. We're going to have a little show and tell.
So you're telling me you put it on like this too. This is the top. This is the bottom.
That's how I put it on. But I can see how you're going to say flip it around because it's bigger.
Don't ruin my story.
But I can see. So
I'm sitting down on the toilet. And I'm noticing because like the red part only ends up here. It ends up in this top part. And I don't need this to be like shoved way up so that this part is now literally like popping out the top of the underwear, right? I'm not okay with that. So I'm sitting there like this. I take this thing off and I'm like, oh my God, wait a minute.
It's bigger on the bottom?
This bottom part flares out quite a bit. So I turn that mother effer around. And then I'm now in a position where this part is at the top. And this part, which is going down the taint toward the butthole.
Yep. It's smaller.
And I don't need that as much. It's not like I'm worried to shit myself or like whatever, right?
Yep.
So this part goes at the top. So I put it in and I come out and I'm like, Renee, I think I've been wearing my pads wrong the entire time. So now I'm even more confused in this moment right now because you're wearing yours the same way I was wearing it, which is what I assumed we were supposed to be doing. So now I feel like a genius. I think I might have just turned on its head for every maxi-pad wearing woman in this world.
I mean, you do have a PhD.
All they needed to do was turn it upside down so that this part here collects a majority because down here, again, taint asshole land doesn't need it. It's a waste.
How many YouTube videos do you think are out there that explain all this? Like spot on. Like everything you've ever wanted to know about maxi-pad placement.
Did that come up to me? Yeah, because I thought to myself, Rebecca didn't know how to put a tampon in properly.
Also, I never read directions.
Right. Well, it's not like your mom most moms come in the bathroom with you and they're like, spread them, here's how we do it, right? But then how are you supposed to know?
Well, because there are directions.
But it doesn't say, this is the type you use for a tipped cervix.
Yeah, but I didn't know I had a tipped cervix.
Until you had a baby.
Right.
Which was 15 years ago. And it still didn't occur that, I have a tipped cervix. Maybe I need to, right?
Yeah.
Now, just for anyone who wants to know, since we're on period talk right now with Erin and Rebecca, it's what I shared with Rebecca is that because she has a tipped cervix, she has to lean forward. Mm-hmm. She has to bend at the waist. To put the tampon in because when she's standing straight up like the Eiffel Tower and shoving that thing in,
not going.
It's not
jam.
It's not filling the void.
I'm like, why does your tampon always stick half out your lips?
Oh my God! This is
terrible.
Don't say we never gave you anything on this podcast.
You're right. We are full of gems.
And then I also said to Renee, I said, that the next time any one of the people that listen to the podcast have their period and they're either putting their tampon in or taking their maxi-pad,
think of us.
They're like, oh wow, Erin said turn it around.
Yeah.
And now I'm with you. I'm with you there. I'm with you in the bathroom. I'm with you in all these different places in your life.
Yeah.
So I actually thought that it was my neurodivergent ways that was keeping me from successfully knowing it was supposed to be turned. And now I'm realizing it's my neurodivergent ways that made me come up with a new way to wear the maxi-pad that might be revolutionary for a lot of women.
I think it's both. I think it's both. Cheers. Bink. I think it's both. Yep. I think it's great.
So that happened. I wanted to make sure that I told you about that. And thank you, Renee, for recommending that I bring in this demo because it was actually a lot easier to explain it with the demo than it would have been.
Right. Mostly because I didn't really pay attention to the shape of the maxi-pad either.
Are you going to flip it around next time?
Yeah. I mean, I will definitely think about it.
Try it.
Definitely think about it.
I really feel like you should try it.
I mean, I do wear mine like the clit protector, so... You never know when you're going to be punched. It's like the other day when we were talking about the jock straps.
I was going to say, remember the jock straps?
You never know.
I know. You never know when something's coming in hot.
We did learn that. We did learn that the other day on the Zoom meeting.
What? That they now do
jock
have...
straps
don't
have the hard cup in them all the time.
Correct.
We didn't know that.
Yes. Did you know that, Scott?
Yes.
Oh. Well, the gay community has really sexualized the jock strap, and they are right on. You get the little butt lift with the jockaroonie in the front, without the hard part. But I really thought that the hard part was always in it.
So did I.
It's not. It's not.
In fact, I only thought baseball players wore them.
Me too. Me too. Until all of a sudden we go to a hotel and Darnell's getting changed and I'm like, what the hell is on your body? And his ass is sticking out and he's got his damn jock strap on. And I'm like, you're wearing a jock strap? And he's like, oh, yeah.
Like
underpants.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Without the hard part.
Well, yeah, without the cup.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's what it's called.
It's very sexy, Scott. You should try it.
You should. In fact, that's your next more love present.
Oh my God, we're getting him a more love.
and then you do a show for your wife. And let's see.
Hey, where's the music now? No, it's not the throw up. It's
it's pony.
Let's do it.
Hey.
You want more love. You want more love.
Scott turns around. Complete ass. More love.
Jeez.
That's funny.
Oh,
Wow.
Scott.
No.
What's the next holiday coming up? We can get that for Scott.
4th of July.
Woo, Kelly! He's coming for you,
All right,
Kelly.
fine. If you get me a jock strap, then they have to have the American flag right there.
Okay.
And then we're gonna have Kelly up the street, right. More love.
That's right.
Hi, Kelly. Imperfect by Kelly. Could you please just tag this jock strap with more love? We now offer a whole new line in the merch.
Whole new line. Oh my God. It's so funny. Good time.
Lucky I like you guys.
Well, you're lucky we like you enough to get you a jock strap.
Right. Right.
It goes both ways.
That's real love.
Both ways. But we also decided that we're going to give women jock straps. What was it called? Dirty squirrel?
Dirt squirrel. Dirt squirrel. Dirt squirrel makes women's.
They're out though. They're out. We tried to order some because some looked really good. We decided that
No, for you, I would not wear it.
not that you won't wear it, but it won't hold your ass up.
Right.
Like they don't make the industrial size to be able to hold your ass.
And I said, I'm going to feel, if I wore that, I would feel like I'm about to go climb up the rock wall. And I don't like how that feels. That gives me a lot of anxiety. That does not bring sexual, like excitement. That's like scariness. I do not like that.
Oh my
nope.
God.
Just went into zipline mode.
God.
Don't like it.
You got a whole new merch line coming at you right now. All right, hit us with a card. Hit us with some hippie voo.
Okay, hold on. I got to stretch.
What do you got for us today?
I'm still convinced I got the shingles. Like, it's driving me nuts.
No. We've talked about it. It's not your autoimmune.
I know. All right, Six of Wands. I think we've had this one before with the Air Jordans.
Oh,
the mouse with the Air Jordans.
Okay.
Yeah. So it says, you've just scored the coolest ever world's best mug. And it's here to honor you in your many splendored victories. Feel weird about it? Knock it off. You deserve to be proud of whatever is in that mug. Whatever is in that mug, and it's applauding. So enjoy the recognition from yourself and others and use it to keep on moonwalking like a champ more triumph ahead. This is a slow clap, and it's just getting started. So the affirmation is, I am unabashedly shouted out with the window all the way down, proud of myself, and I'm going to keep being the fabulous me that got me here.
Let me see that. I hate that so much. So here's what I think part of my problem is. What is it?
Six of Wands.
Six of Wands. Now let me read it.
I know. I can't.
Because I think part of my problem, because I'm neurodivergent, is that I need it to go in a certain cadence.
Yes, I know. And then I'm reading it going, wait, that doesn't make sense.
You're like, oh, the cup with the pausing for the cup. Right?
Because I'm reading it going, why is that there? Yeah.
You've just scored the coolest ever world's best mug. And it's here to honor you and your many splendored victories. Feel weird about it? Knock it off. You deserve to be proud of whatever it is that mug is applauding. See, did that sound better? That made a little more sense. Okay.
Because in my mind, I'm like,
that mug is applauding. Why is the mug clapping?
Right. All of these things are happening as I'm reading it.
Because it's like the best of, right? It's like world's best mom.
I'm aware.
Oh, you got it now.
I'm aware.
Sorry,
but in that
moment, I was
moment,
trying to help. Okay. So enjoy the recognition from yourself and others and use it to keep on moonwalking like a champ to more triumph ahead. This slow clap is just getting started.
Sorry.
I am openly, unabashedly shouted with the windows all the way down, proud of myself. And I'm going to keep on being the fabulous me that got me here. Okay. I wonder what that one's about. What do you think that one's about? What are you celebrating? What are you triumphing? What are you super happy about?
Well,
what are you doing well? What does your mug say?
Nailing it at life. Just all day long.
Oh, who's our guest today? Oh, wait, there isn't one. Because we forgot to schedule that. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm trying to hit my stride. I got some cool things coming up that I'm really excited about in work. And so I'm really pumped about that. And just, getting the cadence down. And, when you're learning something new, it's like exciting and stressful and you don't want to fail and all these things. So there's just a lot of, what's that word? Like, not questioning, but, you want to do the best you can possibly do type of thing. So, what's exciting is to see the results of the effort and the work that you've done. So like, how when you're like pre-planning and like getting ready to do something or ready to launch something or whatever, and then it happens and it's like even better than you thought.
Yeah.
We're at the point now it's almost about to happen, and then I'm really excited to see how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
So
you always get really great feedback too from other people, which is super beneficial because then you're like, you might get a little nervous. Is this going to go? Is this okay? Because sometimes your ideas are like here, right? Which I love. And I think adds that extra flair.
Right.
But then it hits the mark every single time. And then people are like, that was so amazing.
Right.
And I can't believe that you pulled that off. And that was so great. And so you get that real positive reinforcement there too.
But because of that, in the planning process, it can be extra stressful because it's like you're playing out. It's when I'm reading the thing, I'm like, okay, I'm playing out all these things in the moment. How could this happen? Could that happen? Will this be on time? Will this manage? Like it's we're planning the dad's retreat's coming up in a couple weeks in the Florida Keys. And what we're really excited about is you went to the beach resort. Yeah. And so we rented the whole beach to do some cool things on the night before. And or I'm sorry, the opening night. But what we realized in the planning process is the sun actually sets on the other side of the street. So it's like, it's like the causeway or whatever, and then there's resorts on the Gulf side and the resorts on the Atlantic side.
Yep.
We're in the Atlantic side.
Got it.
Well, apparently,
sunsets in the west?
Sunsets in the west, not in the east. So the sunrise yoga is going to be great.
Minor detail.
Right?
Right.
So we've realized this after the fact. And so we rented out this whole beach and we did. Now, granted, it's still going to be great. But then at the last minute, as we're having these conversations, my boss is like, do you think maybe we could figure out a way to get the guys to watch the sunset? Well, I was able to pull off some pretty cool things in the last minute.
Yep.
And now the fear is, can I plan it all in place? Absolutely. Do the things that lead up to that to get us to be where we need to be.
Are we going to be
when
there?
the goddamn sun sets?
Oh, yeah.
Is a
no. And you have no control over that.
I have no control. And all I can do is hope and pray that everybody's on the same page. There's 50 people, like to migrate them. This is the part that's like, okay, I can put all the plannings into place, right?
Yep.
But if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And reality is, I'm not broadcasting. We're going to be doing this at the sunset, right? If it works out, great, and then that's where the aha is.
Right.
Like I keep it all a surprise.
Person.
Right.
You're the only one, including your boss, because he should know what's going on. No clue.
Right.
No
but
clue.
if it doesn't happen, no one's disappointed.
Because no one knows.
Just me.
Yeah. Just because of all the time you put into it. Yeah. Right. I know.
So that's what I mean about you try and you try to do all the things, but so we'll see.
Planner life 101.
That's right.
But if you had a mug right now and it said "World's Best," what would it say after it? Think about this too, Scott. Oh, excuse me.
Fire
That's
putter outer.
Right.
Yeah, pivoter.
World's Best Pivoter. Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that.
Oh, 100 all day long.
I really like that.
In fact, that's how I lead. In an interview or whatever, they say, "What are your strengths?" Oh, all day long.
Yeah.
I am the world's best. I'm Calm Cool Collective.
That's that neurodivergent ADHD brain working for you.
That's right.
Because honestly.
Oh, I can pivot in anything.
Who can't pivot?
You. Throw your I'm all done. The event's a mess.
Get to the west side now. For the sunset. I don't understand.
Right.
Yeah, but you're right. You do. You pivot like a mother effer.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
You can do. Yep.
Easily.
What about you, Scott? What's your mug say? World's best what?
I have no answers.
I love that you just slurped that right into the microphone.
You know when I bought this coffee? on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. It's been in your refrigerator since then? Yeah. Yeah.
I just keep drinking it every couple days.
So gross. Scott, you don't got anything? World's best what?
I'm too busy trying to figure out where that hammering noise is coming from and why it's happening.
What hammering noise? I don't hear a hammering noise.
God, no.
I was going to say,
world's best spy.
That's right. World's best multitasker.
Right,
oh, there. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Oh,
if that's actually it.
Okay.
I don't know if that's it. Actually, that mug fell and broke on the floor.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What does yours say?
I don't know. I was just trying to think. What is my world's best? Lately, it's been relaxer. I've been really great. It's been really great. Oh, that's
the
nice.
only thing that I can say for sure that I knock out of the park.
You nailed being a husband?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Wow.
Would Kelly say that too?
She absolutely would.
Wow. Why? What do you do? What do you do that makes you knock it out of the park?
I take care of her.
That's your one job.
Yeah.
You make that your number one priority.
Yeah, I take care of her.
That's what I say needs to happen too. I got the rest of this shit.
And she
Just take
does.
care of me.
She does just about everything I mean, I do like stuff around the house, like, the grocery shopping and the cooking and putting the garbage out and crap like that. But she does everything else with the kids and with my son. She's like trying to get SSI insurance for my son right now, which is a huge freaking battle. And she's always doing all that kind of stuff. So, I try to make sure that I take care of her. I don't always succeed, but...
What do you do to take care of her? Give us some examples.
Make sure... Well, so like every morning we get up after the dog jumps on my face.
Okay.
I take her out, and then, I bring her coffee.
Okay.
I always bring her coffee.
How does she like her coffee?
Black. That took me a couple of years to make that happen because she used to
Okay.
have all these creamers and stuff, and got her off those creamers.
Yep. Yeah. To make life easier for you.
Did you hear that?
Oh, now I heard it. Yeah, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It
No,
bothers
it's
the
actually
shit out of me.
quite therapeutic.
You know why? Because nobody told me that they were going to be doing anything, and that angers me. But anyway.
It's okay. Rebecca is world's best pivoter, so she's
Right.
going to just embrace it.
Right.
It's
Why don't
totally
you go
fine.
pivot up there and smack him in the head?
Okay, I could do that too.
Okay, so we got coffee.
Like, make sure that she has her lunch. Make sure that, like, if she's texting me that she's having a bad day, I go out of my way to make sure that I make a really yummy dinner for her that night.
Oh.
And, I like anybody else, I'm not perfect, but she knows that I put her needs paramount. That's what I.
That's
try
what I
to do.
say all the
That's what I
time.
try to do.
What do I say? I say to you, when we have left everyone else in the dust and it's just the two of us living in a house, I said, I will make the money. Mm-hmm. I will bring home the proverbial bacon.
And I'll cook
just
it.
need to take care of me.
Done.
I need to have my coffee in the morning.
Done.
And I like my sheets changed occasionally.
Done.
And if you could just make some dinner.
Yep.
The rest is fine.
Done.
The rest is completely fine.
Yep.
That's it. It doesn't really take much. Now,
I know.
I also have to, deal with her crazy.
Well, that's part of the
Yeah,
that's
it's
part of the
part of the-
package.
it's part of the gig.
Exactly. And now I can't live without the crazy.
And and I got to tell you, as a woman, ain't none of it crazy. Y'all pushed us there. It's not crazy.
no.
It's actually quite sane. It makes a lot of sense in the context of whatever we're dealing with. It's
My
actually
wife-
right on.
Kelly uses words that aren't right for what she's saying. Like, where's your lunch? Where'd you put your lunch? Oh, it's in the garbage can. But she means the truck, or she means the refrigerator. She uses the wrong words all the time. So sometimes
so
I'm
it's
like
just
utterly
confusing.
confused.
Yeah, okay.
Where I'm like, it's what?
You have to figure out the puzzle.
Yeah. I have to figure out. Wait a second. What are you?
You know what I run into? I can't find the word in my vocabulary, so I'll be like, you take the milk and please put it in the thing.
Right.
The thing, the
thing.
handles,
that's the
and
whole,
it's cold, and it's
Yeah.
on the left-hand side.
Right.
The thing. It's in the freaking kitchen. It's silver.
Right.
And they're like, the
What?
refrigerator?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
I know.
You already
Yeah.
know, right? Or if I'm taking a minute to like figure out what it is that I need to say, and my family just sits there like,
And waits.
hello?
Yeah.
Or like,
But see-
or we're glitching. Like, what is happening? And
Well,
I'm like,
sometimes-
God, sometimes it takes me a minute. It doesn't help when you're all staring at me.
Right.
I need a minute.
After 21 and a half years of marriage, I've gotten to the point where I can almost, when she says, can you get the thing and take the thing and put it in the thing?
Yeah.
I know what she's talking
You know
about.
it.
Yeah.
You know it.
don't know why.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
love
how
that.
the hell did I know what you were talking about?
Yep. Yep.
We oftentimes will be on the same wavelength with stuff. Like I'll be thinking I should make tacos, and then I'll get a text that says, what about tacos tonight? I'm like,
Wow. Yeah, I love
but
that.
we love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mark and I do that often, but with other people. So like he'll notice something come up on TV that I also have noticed the same thing, and it'll be something weird. Like, did you see how his fourth finger was longer than the rest of them? Like those little things.
Yeah.
And I will always say, I've always noticed it. I have noticed exactly what you have noticed. We don't always need to talk about it, right? Or it's like something weird. That's what we're
Yeah,
to
you
think
just
about.
go, well, look at that. And
Yeah.
you both know what it is.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Or that was weird. Did you just see?
Yeah, did you see
I did.
that?
I did. I just saw it. I know. So mine would lately it would just say world's best relaxer, because I've really, after the crazy ridiculousness that happened in 2023, I said I'm all done. for a little while. I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to regroup. I'm going to not do anything for a few months. I'm going to ease into what it is that I want to do for the rest of that time. And I have to tell you, I've reached a point of work-life balance that I have never had in my entire life. And I feel really great. I feel good about what I accept on my plate. I feel good about how much I'm working during the day. I feel good about the mini pivots that I can do during the day if I decide I want to do something or not do something. I'm really good about pre-identifying. Is that a lot in this week? Yeah, well, let's not schedule a meeting for that week. Let's push it off a whole nother week, right? But I needed a full-on reset. I needed we're all done. We're not doing anything. You don't need to get out of your bed for the next however many months if you don't want to. That's what we're going to do. So mine right now might say world's best relaxer because I'm really great. And my friend Julie is always like, did you get your nap today? And I'm like, I did. I really did. So big fan of the naps lately. Just easing back in
you know what?
real life.
It's part of the journey. It's part of the plan. It's part of the reset.
And I realize the privilege associated with that. And I think about that often because I know so many women particularly, and then break that down further into women in higher education and break that down even further into women, higher education, student affairs. And then break that down further into women, higher education, student affairs who are moms that need that reset. And the fact that they could take off 6, 8 months, whatever, and just really focus on that is just not something that many people are able to do. So I do not take for granted that I have the ability to do that. And I want to eke out all of the learning and the experiences that I've had to share with other people so that they can fast track that.
You just made me think of something because I was that student affairs mom in higher education, whatever. And I was forced to take unpaid maternity leave.
Yep.
And when I was doing that, and I chose to do 6 months because if I had gone back earlier, I would have been losing money by putting 2 children in daycare. So it was better for me to take the 6 months off, unpaid, get a part-time job, and keep my kids home, which then that is the great reset for me. That's when I figured out, fuck this higher education crap. I ain't doing this no more. I leaned into something that was not something I had done before as a part-time job to make a little bit of extra money because we still need to eat. And I fell in love with it. And I'm like, how do I pursue this? So then it shifted everything for me, everything.
That's right.
I'm like, I'm never going back to that.
And you didn't.
No.
I think you went back to higher ed for legit 2 weeks to give your 2-week notice.
I did.
And then you've never turned back since.
Yep.
But that's interesting.
But it was the great reset. But it was the force. It was the forced.
Yeah.
I never would have been like, let me take a mental health break and then go on family leave or whatever those options are. That didn't seem like an option. In fact, probably 15 15 years ago, that wasn't an option.
Yeah, right.
But
even that, it's still, it's a defined amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so looming in the back of your mind when you do take one of those FMLA breaks or whatever is, I get 32 weeks.
Right.
I get, whatever.
Right. Well, you have to use the most of that time. You're so burnt out. So it's hard. It's like, how do you don't know how long it's going to take to do the reset.
Right.
You don't know how long it's going to take to do the work. And reality is, we as student affairs workers love our jobs.
I know.
And I loved my day-to-day tasks.
Yep.
I loved working with the students. I loved all of those things. But at the end of the day,
the system,
it was just not working. And I'm like, I had 2 little kids at that time. And I looked at you. I remember looking at you saying, I am not going to miss out on these kids' lives because those students are not my children. I'm not doing it. Now, granted, I worked in an environment that was, it was a community college. So it was a very 9 to 5, Monday through Friday type of thing, which again, I couldn't have asked for
and that's
better.
not normal. Right.
A better career. Right. I was doing student activities.
Right.
9 to 5, Monday through Friday, right? Like I couldn't have set myself up better.
Yep.
But then I just couldn't do it.
Yep.
I couldn't do it. Even those minor weekends I had to work for an event or whatever, I was resentful. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
I know. So. And a lot of people are in that position right now. And the reason I know this to be true is that I was asked to give a keynote speech in May, actually, on this exact topic. Student affairs, higher ed folks are feeling burnout like they have never felt it before post-COVID. There are institutions that are closing. So there's been combinations of, what do you call that when they combine?
merges
that have been happening.
Which not only are they merges and people leaving, they're not rehiring.
Correct.
They're putting double work onto one person.
Correct.
With no benefits.
Correct.
No money, no nothing.
Correct. So how this was pitched to me is, Erin, we know you'd be a great keynote speaker on this topic. Can you come and talk to people about how to avoid burnout when it comes to these types of topics? And I said, I am happy to be your keynote speaker, but what I will focus 80% of my conversation on is system inequities, system problems, issues that have been built over time. One example would be anyone who was anyone in higher education, especially in those high level positions, could have seen, should have seen, and if they didn't see it, they should have been reading about it. The fact that the number of college age students was going to plummet very, very drastically between the years of this year and whatever year, right? Like bookend it. And the reason for that is that people who were having children 18 years before that time were not having the same number of children. There genuinely just is not enough college age human beings. They don't exist.
Yeah. Well, look at the trends in graduating classes.
Yes.
They're just way smaller.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The example that always comes to my mind is when the Olympics comes to town and they build all of these grandiose hotels and they build all this infrastructure to be able to accommodate all of these extra people who are coming in for the Olympics. And then all of a sudden the Olympics comes and goes. And then you have all of these abandoned hotels and you have all these, because you cannot keep up with the same number of people that are essentially going to be coming there because they're not. It doesn't happen, right? So that's a system-related problem. If we have not managed that, if we have not accounted for that, if we have not seen that train coming down the track, then you're going to have a situation where people have been expected to do something. We've increased the amount of programming. We have increased funding in certain areas. And now there's not the student dollars to be able to pay for it. And then what happens, right? We're experiencing all of that. That is not, Rebecca doesn't have her burnout under control, right? I can talk to you all day about little strategies you can do, but let's not crazy make here. Let's not pretend that you can just go home at 5 o'clock at night and not check your phone until the following day. And all of a sudden, when you come back in at 9 o'clock the next morning, that everything's going to be a little bit more hunky-dory because you slept better last night. But that's what people want to push to other people.
Well, sure, it feels good.
Oh, it also displaces the real problem. Right. And that real problem is something that if we don't come to terms with and don't acknowledge, and you're not a part of an institution that's addressing it, you're going to be experiencing this for decades. Until the big bubble bursts, right? And then XYZ happens. We're experiencing that. I think COVID exacerbated that, made it go quicker, you know? But I really, some of the things that I have learned from this great relaxation of 2023 to 2024 has been really monumental in understanding both my desire to rest and what rest really means. Rest is not, I spend all day in my bed, never get out. Some days I might. Some days I might be like, I feel like watching true crime all day, right? But what rest has really meant for me in this capacity is the freedom for me to create my days around what makes me feel fulfilled, enlightened, and brings joy to my life, instead of what I need to do to fill the agenda of XYZ other people. That's been huge in my own personal rest and reset.
What's interesting is because, COVID, I think often COVID allowed for a lot of shakeup, right?
Yeah.
And I had experienced that way before because, I worked from home for 10 years.
Yeah.
We've been using Zoom. We have prioritized. We have cut things out, all these things, right? And what's funny is I tend to find myself getting stuck in these Instagram, parodies where they're like the boomer who calls in sick to work. And then they'll say the millennial who calls in sick to work. And then the Gen Z or the boomer who prepares for a vacation, and they're like, they're like putting all these things together for people to do in their absence.
Yeah.
And then they have the away message and then they're still checking their email on vacation. Then you have the millennial who probably forgot to put the away message and will not check the email when they're away
Right.
and then comes back and is like, oh yeah, nothing died. Nothing went to hell when I was gone. And then you have the Gen Z who totally blows off everything, right? Like just up and leaves and then comes back and is like, what I miss. Like they're,
Right.
And what's interesting is as you start to see that generation who's right now at the top get out, retire, move on, and our generation come in, that's when you're finally going to see the change. The problem is where people are just like,
and who's in
generational.
Who's in the leadership positions
Correct.
right now, right?
The boomers.
The people who are 58 plus, right? Who have a certain defined work ethic,
Correct. And everything will go to hell if they're not constantly engaged. Yep. And it's like, that's not true.
Remember when I was at RIT and my boss was like, I don't believe in comp time.
Right.
And I'm like,
what do you mean?
When you say you don't believe in comp time, aside from the belief part, what does the institution in HR say about comp time? Oh, I'm sorry. It says in HR that comp time is something that is at the manager's discretion and should be used in circumstances when people are going well above and beyond. Well, would you consider a new student orientation where you are there from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right, Monday as excessive and in need of comp time?
Millennial would say that. A boomer will be like, nope, that's your job description.
That's what I mean.
That's your job description. And that time of year, you should be prepared for that. And you should take that into consideration.
We work till the job's done.
That's right.
The job's not done.
Your
salaried.
job's done.
Some weeks it's 30, some weeks it's 75, right?
Right.
And then you have people that person is managing who are like, what the what? Mm-hmm. Now, that's really not how that works, right? We're working toward work-life balance. We're working toward, right? I'm okay working those hours. That's actually not the problem. And I don't need an hour-for-hour conversion of when I was doing that. But I do need you to tell me that I get 2 days off next week. Or I get time that...
You don't have to charge your time between Christmas and New Year's. That's a free vacation for you. Because you put in the time here. It's about checks and balances, people.
But that would require
I'm going to take this off of your plate because you know what? No one cares anyway. It may be part of your job description, but it's not successful. It's not working. Get rid of it.
Yep. Well, that's the other thing that we do. We're like the sweepers, right? We're like, well, we've always done that. And we really love that one program that like 4 students go to. And we have to keep that because that won't be good. But we'll just add on to it. And before you know it, you have this wide sweeping job description that someone's been doing for however many years, even though it doesn't meet with the desires of all of these people, right?
Yeah.
So that's been a really big part of one of my resets has been I am now fulfilling my life with things that actually bring me joy. And I am limiting the amount of things that I have to do because someone else has thought that it would be a good idea. To the minimum. And certainly those things still have to exist in some way, shape, or form. But that has been a pretty big takeaway from me.
Which is also interesting because, again, our brains don't work the same. And I'm like, why? Why do you have to have a staff meeting? Because you've always had a staff meeting. And it's like, well, how else are we going to communicate? Well, I can give you 37,000 ways we can communicate without having a staff meeting. Right.
But the difference between you and I, though, is that you've been in such a non-traditional. And when I say non-traditional, I just don't mean not work from home. You have literally been in meetings where your boss will say, if you are not walking on a nature trail during this meeting, we ain't having the meeting. So get yourself to a park. You are so far left that it is like, whoa. Whereas I still have to operate within my main clients are institutions of higher ed. It's the government. It's K-12 school districts.
But it's also what's comfortable for you. I'm the type of person, I have to take meeting notes. I can't be on a walking and try to retain a goddamn thing. I can't do it. Like, that's just not a thing for me. So I have to write things down. I have to make them make sense or It's just going to be a conversation.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to do things that align with you also.
Right.
You know, and that makes sense for you and that work for you.
Right. Right. And I think that's why I can bridge both of those areas, because I loved the surprise, surprise, based on how we started this, right? The 9 to 5. I loved we're going to do strategic planning in this meeting, and then we're going to move to this, and then we're going to move to this. I don't like the pure chaos, right?
Right.
So I like the ability to be able to have 1 foot over here and 1 foot over here, where I get to have some fun, creativity, flexibility in what I do, but there's enough structure to what I'm doing and expectation of what I'm doing that it actually grounds me a little bit, right? So that also is this personal preference.
But no, a lot of people don't take the time to develop their personal preference because they've been institutionalized since they were in pre-K, right? And it's like, we always sit at a desk. We always do this. We have math from this time to this time, right? And so if that works for you, that's beautiful. If it doesn't work for you and you're struggling, that doesn't mean you suck at school. It doesn't mean you suck at thinking. It just means this environment doesn't work for me. I'll never forget when I took on my new job and we did an in-person retreat and we would do like self-reflection time, and then the journal music would come on super loud. I'd be like, I can't.
Too much.
I can't.
Too much. Yeah.
I like silence,
Yeah.
right? But again, you know, you have to work with that. But again, because he created such a beautiful environment, I could leave the room and do my silent stuff and then come back.
Yeah.
I didn't have to ask permission. It wasn't assumed that I was blowing it off.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
God forbid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so what I find interesting is Sawyer's 4th grade classroom is a constant rotation of different groupings. Like 1 week she's going to be on the floor sitting on pillows and doing work. The next week, and so what she's doing is she's figuring out what's working best for the students.
Interesting.
And it's a constant rotation, right? It's a constant different type of experience. The days are not necessarily structured the same. But again, that's because that teacher can do that.
Correct.
There is not a chance in hell you could do that, because that would feel chaotic.
Correct.
That would feel, I can't manage the classroom because of this.
Yep. Yeah,
So-
it takes a very certain, and I think about my dad, who again, we're talking, he's 73 years old, right?
Yeah.
We're talking, he's a boomer,
Right.
He's a boomer,
But that's
right?
what I'm saying is,
But
how do
when
you have these people at the top who can't cater to anybody else's needs because they need it to be a certain way?
Right.
It's a constant
But that's
battle.
what I mean. So my dad was a teacher, 5th grade teacher for 32 years. He was the teacher who had the school store in his class.
Yeah.
He was the teacher who had a refrigerator in his class and a microwave, so that if you wanted to bring in something you had to heat up, or you wanted to bring in something like popcorn or whatever, you could do that. He would have alternative seating places all over his room with would be tons of pillows so that you could find your spot, right? The fact that he was doing that
Back
in
then?
the 80s is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But that's why he was the beloved teacher.
Sure.
There's no doubt he was not strict.
Sure.
There is no doubt he had expectations.
I was going to say, maybe
right?
it's not strict. Maybe it's expectations.
He had very high expectations.
Yeah.
I remember this one story where Justin Hayes was one of the students in his class, and my dad walked over and looked at his desk and was like, "What's happening here?" Right? And Justin was like, "Oh, well," because it was really messy, right? And he was like, "Oh, I just haven't had time for, whatever." Started to give all these excuses. And there's one thing you don't give to John Halligan, it's excuses. And my dad flipped that desk upside down, turned it, dumped it, all the shit all over the floor, dumped it, put it on the floor, and donkey kicked that desk to the front of the room by the blackboard, looked at Justin, gave him a little smile and said, "There, I helped you out." You never do that now, right? But it's not the case that everything was just so fun and hunky-dory all the time. He had expectations of how you're going to use that microwave.
That's right.
He had expectations. He had a huge sign on his wall
are privileges.
that said privilege equals responsibility.
That's right.
You want to have the privilege of having these things, you better have the responsibility
That's right.
of being able to do it.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's the same concept. That's kind of how I raise my kids. You get to do certain things, but if you're not responsible or make good choices, then you don't get to do that anymore.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
It's not a free for all.
Show me
You
that.
don't have rights.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, what else is on that list? This is kind of a fun game. When you think about the reset, the Great Reset for you, it was the Great Reset of what year? How old is Taylor? Taylor's 15.
It was when Sawyer was born. So it was 2014.
2014. You was the Great Reset of 2014. For me, it's the Great Reset of 2023.
Par for the course. 10 years apart. 10 years apart. Par for the course.
It's actually very true. I actually really love that. When I think about the Great Reset, let's come up with one or two other things that we've learned during our time of reset that might be able to help some of our listeners who undoubtedly are in a very similar place, right? There's not one person that I know that is not struggling with something really similar.
Well, for me, it came down to values. I always knew I wanted to be a mom, and I always knew that my quote unquote title was not important. So for me, it was very easy to make a career change because I worked in higher education, but my degree was not in higher ed. I was not pigeonholed. My degree, my master's is in recreation and leisure. I am a fun engineer. I create fun experiences. That can be done in numerous things. The reason I was in higher ed was because I was well known on campus. I got the highest leadership award, and I was constantly being asked to do things, and I never said no.
Yep.
So what I realized in that moment was put your feet and dibble dabble, right? And see what you really like, and then kind of go from there. So that's part of where the Great Reset worked for me also, because I've always been the type of person that's got 2 or 3 things going on the side.
Yeah. Right.
Always. Even if it's through my kids or whatever. So what I realized very quickly was money was not a driver for me. And because of that, I was able to make some of the choices, because when you leave a state job and go to a nonprofit job, you ain't making more money.
Yeah, right.
You're making less money.
Making more.
You're making way less money. So you have to, and there's no benefits, right? So like you are now relying on your spouse. There's a lot of sacrifice is not the right word, because to me it wasn't a sacrifice. It was a
there's vulnerability and trust there.
Well, right? But I also had to define what was important to me, because if it was important to me to be a president of an institution, I'm not going to make these kinds of choices.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But you can't have it all. That's the other thing. You can't have it all. I can't live in a, the choices that I'm making aren't going to put me in a $500 million or $500,000 home, right? I'm cool living in my home for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. It's not a starter home to me. It's my home, so, just certain things had to become a priority, and they had to work for me mentally and be satisfying. So once I figured that out, then I could work in those parameters.
You spent some of that time in values clarification.
Yes.
About, wow, I know how this feels. I like how this feels. I don't like how this feels. And then you are pretty definitive.
Yes.
When it comes to values clarification, and have been from a very,
very, very
early time, right?
Yes.
Of, I really like this, but I really don't like this. What do I need to do about that? You're not someone who wallows.
No.
You don't. You're not a wallower.
And I also don't take for face value other people's opinions. So people can be like, wow, that was a really bad move.
And you don't care.
No.
You don't care.
It doesn't impact me. So if you're the type of person where title is really important, you need to make a certain amount of money. I probably make less money now than I did 15 years ago. But again, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
I'm not chasing that. I could make triple if I chose to do this. It's all about choices. I knew getting the degree that I was going to get, that I was going to work when people play. I knew that. I knew that nights and weekends and all that kind of stuff was part of the territory. So I can't be angry when I'm following my passion and it doesn't align with my values, which is why I figured that out. I'm like, I can do that. I can't wedding plan. People don't get married at 10 a.m. on a Friday.
Yeah, right.
And I would love to do that, but I'm not working nights and weekends. So it's figuring all of that out and really being happy with your choices and not resentful of them.
Well, not surprisingly, my experience with that is the exact opposite. So titles did/do matter to me. Salary still does matter to me. And that's part of me when I went to go get my PhD, and why I went and got my PhD before I had children. Well, but that's kind of was supposed to be the case. And then I got knocked up and defended my dissertation in March and had Carter February. So literally I have a picture of him 1 month old next to the me defending my dissertation. But those things are important to me. And I would imagine that there's some listeners and some leaders on this call during this session.
During our session.
Today.
I know for a fact there's
that
people listening.
For sure are like, no, that shit does matter.
100%.
Right.
And I don't look at you and think, ooh, you're missing the boat here.
Not at all.
I'm actually pretty excited. I mean,
but
I'm
when I
excited
talk
for you.
about
Cheer you on.
the Great Reset, part of my Great Reset was still maintaining those things, right? So it was, okay, now I've had the title of CEO and president. Now I have had the title of professor. Now I've had the title of executive director of whatever. Right now I've had the privilege of running 5 departments, on a college campus. So I've done the title thing. Salary has never been an issue since I left U of R, really, because that's a whole nother story. But that has never been an issue. And also the part of I'm going to be a self-made woman is also a really important part of my experience. I want Mark's salary to be in addition. I want anything that happens to us to be that's extra because Erin has this, right? So when I was doing this Great Reset, it was still very clear to me that that's a really important value. That's really something that really does mean something to me. But when I dove a little deeper into it, I'm like, it's actually not as much about the titles. It's not exactly, there is still a desire for income that surrounds that, but it's actually a desire to be seen for the areas in which I'm bringing value. So it's the keynote speaking opportunities. It's the podcast. It's the fact that I can go and post something on LinkedIn related to my business and have over 1,500 followers and have people respond to that, right?
Engage, interact.
It's me meeting with our marketing genius, Colt, and saying, I want to start producing videos like I see this person, and this person, like those little reels, right?
Yeah.
I want to do that and I'm not comfortable doing that, but I want to do that because I think I have something important to share, right? So in that case, people don't care, and I really don't care if my title is CEO and president or coordinator or whatever. It doesn't matter. I want to be seen and valued and heard for what I bring that I feel can benefit other people. And I have received a lot of positive affirmations from people saying what you have to say is really valuable to us.
Yes.
That for me in the Great Reset was the reframe, and that the money piece associated with that is that you have the ability to make money for who you are based in what you're providing as value to other people. So if I go give those webinars and make money based on that, if we do the podcast and we have a subscription-based service, that can pay for the podcast. For me, it was about, wow, there is an ability to be able to blend the desire I have to share with the world with income making opportunities. Then I get a keynote opportunity, right? That keynote opportunity will put me in front of hundreds of people. There's 10 institutions that are going to be here, right? I can say at that keynote, here's my LinkedIn page. Please feel free to follow me. Right? I have a podcast that I do with my best friend. Have a listen, right? Then there's that impact growing, right?
Which is what I've always said to you.
Aligned.
I have said that to you, again, 10 years ago, probably even before that.
Right.
I was like, more people need to hear from you versus your 5 departments at RIT. Like, they're nice and they're impacted and they're changed forever. But why are you limiting yourself? You need to expand. I never wanted you to not be authentic. I never wanted you to not talk about the things that you are passionate about, knowledgeable about, can teach about. It's not about that. It's about exposure. And how do we get you in front of more people? Only if you want that. If you don't want that, that's totally fine. You can do your staff developments. You can do all that things and have just a beautiful of impact.
Yeah.
But I know you, and I know you at the end of the day, and I know what's important.
What fuels me.
Yeah. I just don't know how. I'm not the person. I'm not the business coach. I'm not the one that's like, here's what you need to do. in the language that you speak
Yeah.
in order to achieve those goals.
Yeah,
I
right.
just keep bringing you along to different things.
know.
I expose.
I know.
I'm like, you need to come with me to this. And then
know.
I bring you and you're like, I could do this in my sleep. And I say, I know,
Yep.
but let me show you what they're doing.
Yep.
Let me show you this. Let me show you that. You can absolutely do this.
Yep.
But if I hadn't, I truly feel
I
like
know.
we talk about this
I
all the
know.
time, the Oprah and the Gail, right? If I hadn't been the person that I am and you hadn't trusted that and just
if you
been like,
hadn't made that leap 10 years ago
Right.
to like do this crazy pants things that never in a million years what I think was probably a good idea,
Right.
then I wouldn't have been able to move along in my journey
Right.
10 years later
Right.
to have the great reset of 2023 and to come to some of these conclusions.
so I think some of the advice we as a collective can give to people who are stuck back where we were is don't be afraid to go do something. Sign up for that women's leadership event in Rochester. It might
Yep.
cost you $50, $100, but you need exposure. You start to dabble, start to join Facebook groups, don't say no to things. Do it. Never, that's always been my motto. Never say no because you just don't know. And you're not signing your life away. You're not committing. You're not
Right.
making a change. You're not doing anything. You're just getting exposure. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, people do that?
I had one of my dissertation committee professors say to me, I want you to think about your professional career as a buffet. And if adjunct teaching is potatoes, and if, you doing this other thing is carrots and this other thing is dessert, right? And you're going to the buffet and all you keep getting is potatoes after potatoes after potatoes because you're comfortable with adjuncting and you like adjuncting, right? Then you're not experiencing the other things that are at the buffet.
That's right.
And you won't know what you like on that buffet.
That's
and
right.
the goal of the buffet is to have some degree of well-roundedness at the end. If I go back now and look at my CV, which I have been building up, and I just keep adding and adding and adding. And if I ever, wanted to apply for another job, which I never will, I'll take out the things that are not relevant, right? But when I look back on all of that, you're going to see research experience. You're going to see adjuncting experience. You're going to see keynote opportunities, presentations, webinars. You're going to see the podcast. You're going to see this entire
Variety.
things that you're like a volunteer. I was the adopted grandparent coordinator, right? When I was at SUNY Oswego. You're going to see this whole plethora of stuff that I was just trying out that now makes a lot more sense to me in my 40s. But I didn't say no to hardly anything to a fault.
I know.
To a place where after I started to have children and after I started to like move forward in that journey, I had to be like, oh, wow, this is enough. But that's allowed me to go into more of a refinement stage.
That's right.
So
That's
to
right.
your point, those who already are in the stage of I have children or I'm later on in my life, right? Pick a couple of things that you're intrigued by, you think is interesting. The voice acting class is an example. I thought that would just be fun. It was a continuing education department.
Right.
Or credit, right? That we had to take.
Right.
But then the minute that we did that, it started to be like, wow, there could be maybe some sub income or some additional income over here with doing voiceover acting, right? I never knew that was a thing.
Right.
Now here we are doing a podcast. It stands gentle.
Right.
But, right, like you just don't know unless you're putting yourself, I hear some of my friends, I would love to start a podcast. I say all the time, you contact Scott at RockFox. You take his introduction course and then you decide if it's still for you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Ain't no harm in that.
Nope.
It's not like
Nope.
the intro class costs $1,000.
No.
Like it's okay.
Yes.
To explore that.
To confirm what you said about the buffet, I went to a speech once for student leadership. And I remember specifically he gave this analogy of a stool. And he said, most people have their personal life and their professional life. That's only two components. You never see a stool with two legs.
Yeah.
There's always a third leg. What's your third leg?
Idiot.
I'll never forget it, right? But what's your third leg?
Yeah.
Is that your passion? Is that your side gig?
Curiosity.
What is it?
Right.
And you will never be balanced unless you have the trifecta, because it's got to be at least 3. Some people will have 4.
I was going to say, are we clear that my stool had 4 legs?
Of course, because
it wasn't going to have 3.
Yeah.
What are we all odd? No, we're not
mine
doing
does.
that.
Mine has 3.
Yours 100. And yours is like 1/2 of the third leg is a little bit off, and it's put on with duct tape. And
and it's a little bit wobbly. Yeah.
You gotta put the napkin
that's where
under
I'm
it.
comfortable. Yours is a solid, sturdy chair.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's also really important, and to make sure you're fostering that. And again, it doesn't need to be substantial. It doesn't need to be huge. It just needs to be balanced.
So my end question here before I read you this affirmation card is, what would you add to this discussion? I would love to know if you are someone who's done a great reset, even if you've done a mini reset, right? Sometimes, even if like you're a K-12 teacher and over the summer, you're like, that's a little bit of a reset time for me where I get to like actually breathe and think about things a little bit differently. Maybe there's been a time that you've had to have surgery and you needed to be off for 6 weeks, and that was a great reset time. Maybe something profound happened to you over a weekend and you were like, that wasn't a great reset, but it sure was a great push button start to something different in my life. What else would you add to this discussion? Let us know in the Facebook group.
I'd also like to know what's keeping you. The fears. What's keeping you from doing the great reset?
You.
I know.
Look at you.
I know. Sometimes I have good questions.
Wow. Look at you. What is keeping you from exploring it? What is keeping you from actually moving forward and doing it?
I'll give you all the reasons right now.
What is keeping you from all of it? So this is interesting. Here's my affirmation card. I know that I have everything it takes to build the life of my dreams. I am capable.
That's it,
well,
folks.
Isn't
That's
the
folks.
mic dropper?
There it is.
Mic
look,
dropper.
69 minutes. It's perfect.
Have a good day.
I loved that.
Me too. Isn't empathy amazing?
Well, we're amazing. I don't know about all this empathy stuff.
That's fine. I accept you wherever you are.
Oh, God.
I love you.
I love you too.
And if you love us, please like and subscribe to More Love, the Power of Empathy podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
See you next time.